What's up, fam? Welcome back to the Two Goat Show. We're your hosts, Miriah and Steph. Steph, happy Thursday. How you doing?
Happy Thursday. It's a great day. And yeah, excited to be on. What we got today?
We don't have too much stuff, not too much going on, but definitely a couple things that I want to pick your brain with. For the who would use, instead of just doing random stuff, I decided that we're going to we're going to do it in segments. So today will be the offense. We're going to put together a GOAT team with prior 49ers players, and we're going to pick a previous 49ers player to be our head coach of this team as well. So, like I said, today we'll do the offense, maybe next week defense, special teams, and then we'll see what our GOAT team, this has been too long without a Super Bowl, so we got to just take matters into our own hands and build our own roster here, But, it wouldn't be 49ers off-season talk without talking about Brandon Ayuk. I kind of wanted to get into that because, as you know, I'm sure everybody knows by now, the Buffalo Bills traded Stephon Diggs to the Texans for a second-round pick. The news then came out today that, and this is where I think things differ now, because, if the 49ers were to, knock on wood, please don't let it happen, but were to trade Brandon Ayuk, the team that they would be trading them to would then have to sign Brandon Ayuk to a huge contract, right? News came out today with Stephon Diggs that the Texans actually pretty much deleted the last 3 years off of his contract. So now he's only under contract this coming up season, and then he'll be a free agent to sign, a new contract. So I think people were kind of, putting the things together. Like, okay, we heard, of course, it's just rumors, right? We don't know, but that the 49ers, wanted a first-round pick and a player from the Jags, right? Other teams are saying, we would give a first-round pick, but you would have to give us a third-round pick back. All these different trade scenarios, crazy shit being out there. Well, now we saw, top 10 wide receiver? Top 5 wide receiver, maybe even Stephon Diggs, get traded for a second-round pick. Where do you think this comes into play with the 49ers? I saw, a tweet that went out that said something like this. I'll read it to you. Let me know where your thoughts are, if you're in line with this or, the opposite direction. It says, it feels like the Stephon Diggs trade to Houston kills the Brandon Ayuk trade talk now. Stephon was traded for a second-round pick, and the 49ers won't give Brandon Ayuk away for a second or anything less than a king's ransom.
I mean, didn't we already figured that? We already kind of figured that it would take a lot to pry away Brandon Ayuk from the 49ers, and I've been saying that the reason for that is because the 49ers don't actually want to trade him. But if you came with something crazy offer, yeah, they're going to have to take it, because you as a team, that would just be smart of them to take, that big of a deal. But I don't think any team would be willing to do that. And I think, this trade for Diggs that the Texans made, I think solidifies that. But at the same time, it's also relative to where Diggs is at in his career. He's 31 years old. This is the back end of his career. And so that plays a role into it too. I mean, Brandon Ayuk is an ascending player, and he's only gotten better every year. So that definitely does play into it too. And so maybe Brandon Ayuk is not worth what the 49ers would be asking for. That's good. That's all the more reason to expect that he'll be back with the 49ers this season. The 49ers will not be trading him. So that's how I view it.
All right. Before we get into, the comments on the screen, what's up, chat? See you all. Appreciate you guys all being here as always. I do want to, obviously talk about the 49ers being linked to Tyler Boyd, to, whatever other wide receivers. Maybe you can let us know who they've had their 30 visits with. But before we take it that direction, I think a lot of people's concern is that the 49ers would be paying the wide receiver room overall, right? With keeping Debo and Brandon Ayuk, paying them both top, wide receiver money, is that you're paying too much to that whole position. Okay, that's why a lot of people are thinking like, okay, they're either going to pay Brandon Ayuk and trade Debo, or vice versa. Like, I think that's where a lot of people's concern comes up. Up until this point, the thing that kept getting thrown out there when talking about Debo getting traded was the dead money that the 49ers would be taking on, right? And I can't see that, I continuously see mess tweets out there, people saying, I can't see the 49ers taking on that dead money and blah, 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 blah. Well, with this Stefon Diggs thing, we saw Buffalo just take on dead money, right? With shipping him away. And I think that's just a reminder that I don't think it's just crazy to me that people want to say, oh, the 49ers are going to trade away their better wide receiver because it's an easier thing to do. Like, oh, they won't take on dead money. It'll be easier to trade him. They might get higher picks with Debo. Let's keep the less valuable wide receiver to us, to everybody else, just because that's the easier thing to do. I think with the Stefon Diggs trade, it shows us, if anything, that if teams need to do it, if teams need to move on from somebody, they're going to do it. Like, I don't think just because, Debo has how much ever dead money, if they, trade him this season, that's going to stop the 49ers from making that move and just let Brandon Ayuk walk out the door. Maybe I'm just being stupid because I don't want Brandon Ayuk out the door, but I don't know.
I mean, on the topic of, would the 49ers want to pay both of Debo and Ayuk to big money contracts? I think that's kind of overblown, if, for people to make that point, only because after 2024, there's an out in Debo's contract. So really, you would be paying both. You would have both under an extension for just 2024. And with the way that the 49ers stagger out their contracts, it's likely that the 49ers can actually bring Brandon Ayuk's 2024 cap number down for that year. And then it's going to stagger out. By then, Debo would no longer be on the roster, right? So
right.
I think it's a moot point in my opinion. I think for 2024, the 49ers have no problem having the both of them tied to extensions, knowing that one's probably has one foot out the door, and then the other, his cap number will just grow in the coming years, but not in 2024.
Right. Talk to me about Tyler Boyd. Rumors recently came out this week, the end of last week, whatnot, that, some teams that were tied to Tyler Boyd, and it named maybe 4 or 5 teams, and the 49ers were one of them. Some people are saying this is nothing. It's just negotiation tactics. Is this, it's that. Where are you at with Tyler Boyd? Do you think that is an thing that could possibly happen? Do you think it only happens if we do trade away one of our guys? Like, how do you see that fitting, if at all? And then talk to me a little bit about the wide receivers 49ers have been interested coming out of college, if any new ones recently.
Yeah, I mean, on Tyler Boyd, I kind of saw it as, because the way it was reported was preliminary interest, and I don't think it went further than that, right? And I think this is something that probably happened early in the off season. We haven't heard, anything further than that on it. It's just coming out in late March, early April, right? So I think that had more to do with Jawan Jennings, honestly. I mean, Tyler Boyd is a wide receiver 3 on the Bengals. he's probably talented enough to be a wide receiver 2 for many other teams. But for the 49ers, I'm not sure. So I kind of saw it more so as a move in case Jawan Jennings, didn't sign his RFA tender, or if another team like offered him a contract that the 49ers weren't willing to then match, then he'd leave. But it could also be the due diligence of just in case someone blew us away with an offer for Brandon Ayuk, at least we had looked into other options, whether it be in the draft, whether it be in free agency or be a trade. So I just think like it's about not leaving any stone unturned and the 49ers doing their due diligence. I don't see it as anything more than that.
Yeah, good. Hopefully you're
Oh, and you asked me also about wide receivers the 49ers have shown interest in. I would just, at this point, this time of the year, we're all more interested in the top 30 visits because that's like the biggest indication of who the 49ers would have the most interest in drafting. In most cases, it is an indication of who they eventually draft. Javon Baker out of UCF is one of those receivers. He could maybe go like late second, third round, maybe. I'm pretty bad at knowing the range that guys will go, but definitely not a day one guy. So, that's good because I don't see the 49ers taking a wide receiver in day one. So, yeah, I think Baker could definitely be a possibility if he's available during any one of their picks. The other guy is Malachi Corley, right, out of Western Kentucky. He's been like dubbed the mini Debo, or Debo Light, whatever name you want to call him, because he's gotten a lot of yards after the catch in college. Of course, I don't know how much you can really compare the two. They were similar in size, like when Debo was coming out of college, but there are some people who think his yak had more to do with other factors than it really was Corley creating those broken tackles and creating those extra yards. So I don't know. I don't know on that one. I haven't watched enough of him to really have a strong opinion on that myself. And then there's Brendan Rice, obviously Jerry Rice's son, who also has a top 30 visit with the 49ers. I'm not as big a fan on Brendan Rice as maybe other people are, but 49ers doing their due diligence on him too. He'll probably be a second round pick if I had to guess, just because he is the next receiver. I think teams would value that. But yeah, I ultimately think that's probably earlier than the 49ers would want to pick Brandon Rice. But anyway, yeah, they're doing their homework on some of these like round 2, round 3, like day 2 wide receivers, I would say. So, and I think that makes sense. I don't think that's any indictment on Brandon Ayuk or where that extension stands. If anything, it has more to do with finding the Debo replacement beyond 2024.
Right. Let's switch it up to the tight end position. Obviously, we know that the 49ers had made an offer to tight end Brock Wright on the Lions. And the Lions had, how long did they have? Like 7 days or 5 days or something?
Yeah,
to match it. And they waited till like the very last freaking possible minute and said, yeah, we're matching it. So obviously, the 49ers miss out on him. Was nice that the 49ers got him a payday for, absolutely nothing. But, I seen a tweet that went out and you had shared it. Let me read it, and then let me kind of get your thoughts on where your head is when it comes to the tight end position, obviously, behind Kittle. And to take Kittle's spot, someday down the line. This was from KP, put out a tweet, and it says, the 49ers had their highest success rate out of 2 tight end sets last year. You're guaranteed to get Kittle and McCaffrey on a linebacker. But that other tight end has to block. They're telling us that they don't think Latu/Willis are ready, or they wouldn't have tried to triple the salary of tight end 2. Where are your thoughts kind of at, the 49ers, it seems like they've been trying to fill that position for quite a while. Dwelly was, obviously, what's his face that we just lost was great blocking, but kind of didn't go much beyond that. Now we have, Latu and Willis, and I don't know. It's, to me, to write off guys, especially one that we hadn't even seen, right? Got hurt. They stuck him off to the list and off he went. Like, this is the time that we're expecting these players to grow, like their sophomore year. So to already be saying, this shows us the 49ers have, where their confidence is on them. Like, you don't even know who those kids are yet. Like, to just go off of basically, and to Willis ended the season just fine, I think. We know that it's hard to get playing time as a rookie on the 49ers, number one. We know, the rookies, how their off-season whole situation is coming out of college. They don't get that great of an off-season, right? It's like just they're thrown in one thing to the next. They're having to catch up to freaking NFL speed, all this shit, all the excuses that we put for anybody else. Yet, like, we have these 2 tight ends, just like, okay, well, obviously the 49ers are telling us they're not ready, so what? So we're going to go draft a couple more tight ends. We're just going to give up on those guys. Where are we at with the tight end room that continues to just be like a little merry-go-round?
Yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much summed it up. And I also retweeted something Matt Barrows said as well, because, like, in response to, the news of the Lions matching the offer for Brock Wright, someone asked Matt Barrows, is there any hope for Cameron Latu? To which Matt, responded, yes, the 49ers expected it would take some time for him to adapt. The question is whether he can do so this year. Their move for Brock Wright suggests they're skeptical. So, I mean, beat writer saying the same thing, right? And KP also gets access to the team as well. He's part of the beat. So, you have 2 guys who are kind of, skeptical, like, what are the 49ers really trying to tell us with this attempt to bring in Brock Wright? Now, I thought it was interesting that we didn't really hear their name connected to any of the free agent tight ends, so it just seemed like very specific, like there was a specific guy they were going after. And yeah, if you look at Brock Wright's role with the Lions, it very much is, blocking centered. He's their run blocking tight end basically, and they run the ball a lot. They have a lot of success with it. So clearly it's something, he has helped them be able to do. Of course, we know the 49ers have a good blocking tight end in George Kittle, but every so often you do actually want him running routes, and
right.
You don't want to you want to be able to have 2 guys who can block, just like KP said. And so yeah, I mean, I think it's clear they're still, like, searching for someone, which doesn't obviously give us confidence for sorry, my cats are about to fight, so I'm just, like, side-eyeing them here, about to watch it go down. But yeah, obviously it doesn't tell us a lot of confidence that in the tight ends that they have currently, or that they drafted last year in Cameron Latu and Braden Willis. Latu, of course, was always seen as a developmental pick, which is why I wasn't really a fan of it to begin with, because now look at you. Now look at you. You're not feeling so great about him being the tight end too. And Braden Willis, like, he got some time, he got some snaps here and there, mostly on special teams, but clearly not enough time to really get himself ramped up either. And he was a 7th round pick. So, yeah, I mean, definitely it seems like it's still something the 49ers are looking for. Charlie Warner, of course, left. They could bring back Ross Dwelley, but he wasn't their tight end 2, and he's not going to be their tight end 2, even if they brought him back. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm not a fan again of the Latu pick. What I do think though with bringing in Brock Wright, it reminds me a lot of what happened with Drake Jackson last year. Again, like they kind of didn't prioritize edge, in the draft and free agency because they had Drake Jackson and they said Drake Jackson, he's next up. Like we believe in him kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of their mistake because, Drake Jackson did not really pan out to be the guy that I think they expected him to be in their second year. And then they were retroactively trying to, improve that edge spot opposite Bosa all season. So I think they want to avoid being in that same situation this time. So bringing in an experienced veteran like Brock Wright would have allowed them to do that. Now, does that guy need a 3-year deal? Like, I guess like that was a part that was surprising to me because a 3-year deal tells me, I don't know, like to me, obviously Kittle is going to stay for a while. So again, like it gives me even less confidence in Latu and Braden Willis. But it's just been a year, so I'm not like casting them off entirely, but 2024, they'll have to step up, I guess, big time.
Yeah. Another position group that the 49ers have kind of been crazy when it comes to running back. The 49ers did make a move at running back and signed former Green Bay Packers running back Patrick Taylor Jr. to a 1-year deal. Do you think that Taylor has, obviously the 49ers, they need to make another move at running back, right? Let's just hope it's not in the 3rd round. And, right, let's hope they're smart about it this year. But, we need running backs. We only have a couple on the team prior to this move, Do you think that this is somebody that can actually make the team, that he could actually be successful with Kyle Shanahan and what he wants from his running backs? Or do you think this is a training camp body that'll kind of just be stuck off to the side?
I think he's a camp body, but it's a camp body with a purpose, because I think it's a camp body that has, special teams experience, who, has shown that he's a solid pass blocker. He's good in pass protection. That's big for running backs. That's big for not just, Kyle, but any team. You gotta be able to pass protect. And so my I guess suspicion has been the reason we haven't seen a lot of Jordan Mason, despite us knowing that he's obviously like a good runner, is because he's probably not as good in pass protection. Even Elijah Mitchell sometimes whiffs. So to me, this could be a move to kind of maybe put Jordan Mason on notice in that department. I'm not saying they're going to cut Jordan Mason. I'm just saying bringing in someone to, get that sense of urgency of, hey man, you better improve in this, kind of thing. So I kind of see it as that, but ultimately I do think he'll probably end up just being a camp body.
Interesting. I definitely want to see, who they end up, because we lost TDP, went to the Eagles, right? So it's like we don't even have him stashed anymore as a just in case guy. So I don't know. I'm worried. Like, obviously, I want CMC to be able to make it through the entire season healthy again. But it's like, I feel like we got so lucky in making it through, as well as he did last season. And I just feel like, I don't know. We really just need to have some running backs on this team that Kyle trusts, like that if something does happen, or even just to give CMC a breather. It's like, we can't really count on Elijah Mitchell too often, because the first time that we ever have to rely on him, it's like he goes down. So then it's like we have to deal with that too. And it's just like we need some solid depth on this team. Like, I don't know what goes on with the whole drafting of quarterbacks and Kyle, but it's like, I don't know, he just like falls in love with a dude and then that dude don't end up being the dude, like, I don't know what his situation is with running backs. It's really odd. We know that it's a position, that he finds so important for his offense, but it's like, I don't know if it's a trust thing, if it's, like you said, a blocking thing, maybe a little bit of everything. I don't know, but it's like, how is it that year after year so far, it's like we keep just banging our heads against the wall when it comes to running back position? Like, luckily, we were able to trade for a guy that we already all knew was a stud, right? Like, you know that CMC's a GOAT already, for sure thing. You trade for him. The only thing that you have to worry about is injuries. But other than that, it's like the running back position has just been, man, running backs and tight ends has been a very hard position for us to find like guys for. Let's get into, I know we got to get Steph out of here. She got big things to do today. So she's a superstar, we got to get her out of here on time. So we're going to start our offense of the GOAT team that we're putting together. We're going to do quarterback. And so this is current 49ers, any past 49ers, right? So we're going to look for a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end. And a coach, offensive coach. Remember, this isn't going to be a coach that we've had coaches in the past because they haven't done a good enough job. So we're bringing back an old offensive player to be our coach too. So, Steph, let's put together our GOAT lineup. Quarterback. Are you going to go Steve Young? You're going to go Joe Montana? Who are you going?
All right, now is this team, like, how does this work? Are we picking these players like they're in their prime?
We get them in their prime, but they're playing in today's NFL.
Today's NFL. That's tough between, Montana and Steve Young. I think obviously there's a bit of a shift towards some quarterbacks who can be mobile in, today's NFL. But I still think that Montana's skill set, like his quarterbacking was timeless. Like I still think obviously he'd have a lot of success. So I'm going to go with the GOAT. I'm going to go with Joe.
All right. Montana it is. All right. 2 running backs.
I'm going to go, I'm going to go Frank Gore and CMC. It was close between like Roger Craig, but I think what CMC does is, like, Roger Craig was CMC type before, that became a thing. Like he was good at catching passes and all that. But we got CMC. Obviously, I like what he's doing. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Frank and I'm going to go with CMC. Very different running backs, but
yeah,
you need a 1-2 punch.
Exactly. And imagine
a change of pace.
Imagine to have those 2 as your 1-2 punch. Like, holy smokes.
Have them on the field at the same time. Why not?
For real. All right. 2 wide receivers. I mean, I think we know who one's going to be.
I definitely got, yes, obviously, like, just Jerry. Not even pencil in, but put with a marker, permanent marker, Jerry Rice.
You can't make the GOAT team without putting Jerry Rice in there. So
yeah, exactly. God, who? I mean, let's talk through this one. Owens is could definitely be an option. I mean,
today's NFL. So
I even like Anquan Bolden. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, Bolden was a beast.
You guys,
yeah, today's NFL.
Chat, I swear.
Who are they saying?
AJ Jenkins.
Man, you guys, come on, guys.
Quarterback Sean Hill, Tim Rattay.
Rattay, yes.
Trey Sermon and Lawrence Filks.
They're not right.
Owens.
Owens, yeah. Like, I think as far as best, like,
Jalen Hurd.
49ers have had. Man, you guys need to stop playing. Yeah, I guess Rice and Owens in their primes, right? Like, that would be, that'd be pretty good.
All right. Tight end.
Okay. I love Vernon Davis. How many tight ends can I choose?
One.
Oh, just one? Shit.
You gotta choose one tight end for the rest of your life, so.
The rest of my life. This might be unpopular, but I'm gonna go Vernon Davis. All
right,
it's
Steph.
close, but
Vernon Davis it is. Better rely on him. If we need him to get yak, I don't know. Can't throw Kittle out there to get our yak now. All right, a coach. So an offensive player that we're going to turn into a head coach or the offensive coach.
It has to be an offensive player?
Yep, because we're going to pick a defensive player for the defensive side. And so forth.
Let's see. I'm sure there has been like some guys who got into coaching after, but I don't know off the top of my head, so it's kind of hard for me to say.
Somebody that is smart.
Yeah.
Could be smart enough to be drawing us up some winning game plans.
Yeah.
Joe's name keeps popping up in my head, but I don't know why.
Right. Like, I feel like he'd be good at that. He's just like one of those guys that could do it, but has no desire to. So, I don't know.
Nick Mullins. That's good. Nick Mullins. I like that.
Yeah.
Because everybody said he was like another coach out there, you know. Giovanni Carmazzi.
Yeah, and then Corey says Steve would be a better head coach. I mean, so we get a glimpse into how Steve sees the game when he does like the commentating and stuff like that. So that's why I could see that as well.
We can go with that.
And he's more closer to modern like NFL. Yeah, I think Steve would be a solid choice.
All right, you better hope Montana's going to want to play for him.
Yeah, I guess I couldn't have the quarterback I chose for the team to be the head coach.
I was talking about Joe Staley when I said Joe.
Oh, okay. Well, there'd be a bit of a rift there too.
Willis.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you're about to ask like defensive coach, right? Or
no, we're doing that next week.
Okay.
So don't be giving up the answers already. So the offensive starting GOAT squad would be quarterback Joe Montana, Frank Gore, CMC, Jerry Rice, Owens, Vernon Davis, and coached by Steve Young. We're going to put together a Super Bowl roster. Just wait. So yeah, next week we'll do the defense. And yeah. Then I'll put together a little thing and put together our team.
Hell yeah.
That's how it is. Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here, Steph?
No, I think that's it. I did just want to mention that I am pretty sure the 49ers are going to have their top 30 visits on Monday, the 8th. Their local pro day is on the 10th. So I think the 8th is going to be that day. So we'll probably find out about more prospects, obviously, those 49ers are bringing in for visits on that day. So check those Instagrams. Because usually they post on their Instagram that they're somewhere, you know.
I just checked Steph's Twitter because she checks the Instagrams and then she posts.
But that too.
And don't forget, you know, Steph has her handy dandy workbook up there pinned to her top of her Twitter where she's keeping track of all the visits, everybody the 49ers have met with. She does have a little tip option there. Make sure you click it. Send the girl some money for all her hard work she's given us. I know she'd greatly appreciate it. Bam! We're out of here. Till next week. Everybody have a safe and wonderful rest of your week. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. Yeah, this was my only show this week, so you know that's how we do. This is the off season, slow time. So
yeah, I did.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I did like 3 shows, like talking the same topics. This is what we do.
Yeah. Ty, yes, exactly right here. My source equals Steph Sanchez. All right. We're out of here, fam. We'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place. Take care, everybody.